Welcome back to my channel. My name is Peyton Hawes, and today I am going to talk about the Hulu reality series, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. If you didn't see already, I did post a video for all 8 episodes of season 1, giving a recap and review. I am an ex-Mormon, was born and raised in the church in California, moved to Utah when I turned 18, met my husband. We were engaged 4.5 weeks after we met, and were married 4.5 weeks after that. Kind of insane, I know. But I thought that this series was really going to be centered around Mormonism, and I don't feel like it was so much. I feel like definitely displayed a certain spectrum of people on the Mormonism scale. So I don't know. I feel like it was much more of a reality series regarding this mom talk group and different drama and things that they experience, and they just happen to be Mormon, which some of that is kind of squeezed in here and there. I was really hoping that there would be a lot more information and emphasis on the Mormon church than there was. And so I gave my recap and reviews for the first 8 episodes. If you haven't seen those already, you should totally watch them, but you don't have to have seen them to watch this video. Basically, my goal for this video is to talk a lot more about Mormonism, as a religion, as a culture, and how certain aspects of that potentially impacted the women and the marriages and relationships on the show. So this episode is going to be much more centered around Mormonism and its teachings as opposed to the show itself. But I'm hoping to answer a lot of questions that maybe people who don't know a lot about Mormonism, didn't grow up in it, don't really know much about it at all. Maybe certain questions that could have come up during the show, and shed some light on those and talk about them for a little bit, and hopefully help people who may have had those questions. So if that's something you'd be interested in, then I'm excited to dive right in. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And comment below if you have any additional questions, or if you have different answers to some of these questions. Anything like that. Let's get a conversation going in the comments. I love conversing with you guys. So let's do that. Strongly encouraged. So the first question is, how does Mormonism influence marriages? So Mormonism places a huge emphasis on eternal marriages, meaning you're not just married for life on earth, but for eternity, as long as time goes on, which is seemingly forever and ever with no end. So this can create a lot of pressure when there's difficulties in marriages, pressure to make the marriages work. Many Mormon women are taught that their spiritual well-being is due to their marriage being like at the center of everything. So it's essential to make that work in order to have a good life in the afterlife. So they might stick it out longer in relationships where they're struggling than maybe another person outside of the faith would. Question number 2, why is there so much emphasis on family in Mormonism? So Mormonism focuses a lot on the fact that families can be together forever if they follow the church's teachings. So a personal view of mine is that most, at least Christian denominations of religion, believe that by grace they are saved through Jesus Christ, that their sins have already been accounted for, if you will, and there's subtle variations depending on the exact Christian denomination, but overall, for the most part, they believe that by grace you're saved, and the Mormon religion doesn't teach that. It's by works. So grace is something that Christ has and gave to us, but we have to put in the work to show that we deserve that grace. It's kind of interesting. A lot of Christian denominations don't really love the fact that the Mormon church teaches it that way. But The way I see it is most Christian denominations believe that families are going to be together forever. And the Mormon church really pushes that statement hard, like it is their brand. However, I think they're the only church that I've seen that threaten certain aspects of your eternity to get you to follow the rules. So it's like you can be with them forever, but you won't unless you do these things. For Mormon women, their role as mothers and wives is highly prioritized. So that can sometimes overshadow their personal goals or dreams outside the home. Question number 3 is, why do the women seem so tied to their community? So Mormon communities are extremely tight-knit. There is a strong emphasis on supporting each other, but with that comes a lot of social pressure to conform. A lot of women can feel judged by their peers if they're not living up to certain standards, like how involved they are in the church, how they raise their kids, or even how they manage their marriages. There's tithing. You have to pay 10% of your income for the rest of your life. There's wearing your garments, following the word of wisdom, which is not drinking coffee or tea. I mean, the word of wisdom involves a lot of other things that are just about how to have, optimal health. But the big ones that people seem to talk about are the fact that it says you cannot drink coffee or tea. So yeah, there are a lot of rules, and basically you are looked at better in the community the more of the rules that you follow. Question number 4, how does Mormonism impact friendships? So friendships in Mormonism can be a little bit tricky because the church culture encourages everyone to help each other, but also hold each other accountable for the church's standards. So this can sometimes create tension, as we've seen on the show, like some of the girls drinking alcohol or wearing or not wearing their garments. So yeah, friendships can get a little tricky, especially when it comes to like who's the best Mormon or who's living the most righteous life. Demi saying she felt like she was a 9 out of 10 on the Mormon scale, and then other girls are just like, what? And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it can create a lot of tension sometimes in those kinds of friendships if it's talked about, which I'm sure filming a reality series about their relationships and Mormonism bring out a lot of those conversations that can be uncomfortable. Number 5, why do they seem so conflicted between their faith and their personal lives? Mormon teachings can create a lot of conflict. Mormon teachings can create a lot of internal conflict, especially for women. On one hand, they're taught to put their faith and family first, but on the other hand, like anyone else, they have personal experiences and desires, dreams, feelings, etc. The tension between what the church expects of them and what they want for themselves can create a lot of stress. Number 6, do Mormon women have to follow strict gender roles? Yes. Traditional gender roles are a big part of Mormon teachings. Women are often expected to be mothers and wives and focus on that for the most part, while men are seen as the providers and the leaders of the household, both in the family and in the church. So you'll see a lot of women working more so with other women or children, and you'll see a lot of men in a significant amount of roles in any type of leadership position and whatnot. So this can limit women's opportunities outside of the church. This can limit women's opportunities outside of the home. And for some, like the women on the show, it creates struggles between their roles and their personal ambitions. Number 7, is divorce really frowned upon in Mormonism? Short answer, yes. It is. Divorce is definitely discouraged in Mormonism, especially with eternal marriage on the line. However, it's not forbidden. Women who get divorced can feel a lot of guilt or shame, especially since it's taught to them from a really young age to be with their spouse forever. The church often encourages people to work through their problems in their marriage for the sake of the eternal family. Number 8, do the women seem to question their faith? And I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys think about this in the comments below. If you watched the show, do you feel like any, if not all of them, have questioned their faith or certain aspects of it? If so, who and when, or what were your thoughts? Let us know down below. I think some of the women seem to struggle with certain aspects of their faith, but it's not always openly discussed. And I don't mean just on the show, I mean just women in the church in general can have these thoughts and feelings and just not openly talk about it. Mormonism can make questioning or leaving the faith very difficult, especially since everything in their lives, family, friends, community, is tied to the church. It's not uncommon for women to privately wrestle with their beliefs, even if they don't express it outwardly. Anyway, those were just a few questions that I thought of while watching the show. If there's any other questions that you have that I missed, leave them in the comments below and I'll try and get to as many as I can. I love talking with you guys in the comments, so please do that. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified for future episodes, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.